Geneva. Nestled on the shores of Lake Geneva is a city renowned for its picturesque landscapes. Geneva is notably a global hub for diplomacy and international cooperation. This is the home of the United Nations UN office at Geneva, UNOG, and numerous international organizations. Geneva, the Swiss city, plays a pivotal role in shaping global policies and fostering dialogue on critical issues. The UN office at Geneva serves as a focal point for multilateral diplomacy. It hosts various UN agencies and specialized conferences, drawing leaders from around the world to discuss pressing matters from human rights to humanitarian crises. At the threshold of 2024, from the 10th to the 15th of December 2023, Geneva hosted two major UN events, the Human Rights 75 High-Level Event and the Global Forum for Refugees. The Human Rights Conference came at the peak of the UN commemorations of 75 years since the Declaration of Universal Human Rights, while the Global Forum for Refugees was the second conference on refugees by the global body, bringing delegates from more than 130 countries in one place.
So we have two events, many events happening in Geneva, which the Vice President will be attending. We have the Human Rights at 75. We also have the Global Refugee Forum, which will also happen soon after the Human Rights 75. During the Human Rights 75, this is the celebration of the Declaration of Human Rights 75 years ago. And Zambia is a signatory to that, and that is why we are actively participating in these events. So during that time, when the Vice President will be here, she will be one of the participants together with many other world leaders who will be in Geneva during that time. During the meetings, every country, including Zambia, will be making pledges in the promotion of human rights. And we're expecting our Vice President to make an announcement on the steps Zambia is going to take to promote human rights.
Vice President Mutalena Lumango arrived in Geneva as one of the many leading figures to speak at the UN Conference on Human Rights and the Global Refugee Forum, accompanied by permanent secretaries and senior government officials from line ministries. Zambia's presence at the two global events in Geneva, Switzerland, was an indication of the country's steadfast dedication to the cause of human rights and refugee welfare at the global stage. Zambia took center stage at the Human Rights Forum, emphasizing the country's commitment to upholding human rights and individual freedoms.
The Republic of Zambia recognizes the importance of ensuring the effective enjoyment of human rights and fundamental freedoms for all individuals. I am therefore delighted to make the following pledges on behalf of the Republic of Zambia and assure you all that Zambia remains committed to bring about concrete change towards the greater enjoyment of human rights for all. 1. Enact legislation on access to information. 2. Ratify the second optional protocol to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, aiming at the abolition of the death penalty. 3. Review the national policy on environment to enhance the promotion of sustainable use of the environment and natural resources in line with SDGs 13 and 15. And 4, strengthen the national mechanism for implementation, reporting, and follow-up. I thank you.
During a high-level panel discussion on the connection between human rights, the environment, and climate change, Zambia called for global action in reversing the negative effects of businesses on the environment.
My country, Zambia, has contributed, as already been stated by many, marginally to environmental degradation. But like other low-income countries, bears the severest consequences of the resultant climate change due to the effect of business operations. In Zambia today, we no longer have our clear blue sky in dry season. We don't even see well spread out clouds to give us productive rains. When rains come, it leaves a trail of destruction along its paths, floods, destroyed infrastructure, or it doesn't come at all. Or when it comes, it ends too soon before the crop can mature. Profits from businesses have enabled high-income countries to develop technologies to adapt to the effects of climate change. Technologies which are neither available nor accessible to low-income countries, which have done the least to cause it, but bear the brunt of environmental degradation. Therefore, people remain hungry. They remain without clean air. They remain without clean water. Then what should we do to minimize? Here are some of the proposals. That businesses must be held accountable as duty bearers to people who are the right holders to the environment.
In the run-up to the Global Refugee Conference, which took place from the 13th to the 15th of December 2023, several side meetings to discuss policy issues on refugees in various countries were held. At one of the side meetings, Zambia received commendation as a guiding light in the pursuit of inclusive and sustainable solutions for the world's displaced populations.
I just want the meeting to know that we have 96 resettlement schemes dotted around the country. The biggest scheme, which is Maheba and houses refugees, is about 48,000 hectares, which is very, very big, and that makes it very difficult to manage, and including the other resettlements that are dotted in the country, like I said before. So we had a lot of support in trying to manage these schemes from our cooperating partners, and I want to just recognize JICA today, our UN cooperating partners, some of our CSOs that have come forward to provide humanitarian support and also technical assistance. We have an initiative that we're calling Modernization of Refugees, Resettlement and Host Communities. In short, we're calling it the MORASA. So the MORASA is a strategy that brings together the stakeholders that have been working within the resettlement to try and coordinate our efforts together and develop the area called Maheba, which is, like I said before, over 48,000 hectares, and it's a city in itself. So we're hoping that with this, we will be able to actually improve coexistence and cohesion, and again, integration also.
Oh, great. Zambia, great. Zambia actually been hosting even some Ugandan refugees, particularly during Idi Amin period, when a lot of our leaders, a lot of people dispersed in East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania. Zambia is exceptionally. From Zambian University, we have had our leaders trained there. Now they are back into our country. They are prominent leaders. We thank Zambia for their policies on refugees. They've done very well over the years. We appreciate Zambia. Thank you.
Zambia has in the recent past committed herself to continuously improving policy and putting in place mechanisms to ensure that refugee response at district level is well coordinated through a local area plan to ensure that refugees have the same access to infrastructure and social amenities as local people.
Our comprehensive refugee response is guided by a plan. We are working through the One Maheba plan in the case of Maheba, and we are also doing the same for the Mayukwa-Yukwa, the One Mayukwa-Yukwa plan. This means that the needs of the host communities and the refugees are being dealt with comprehensively. Whatever we are giving to Zambians, we are giving to the former refugees and refugees, because the challenges they face are the same. And we want to ensure that as we develop these areas as one There is no development for refugees, there is no development for Zambians. Development is development, and we want to be as comprehensive as possible in ensuring that this happens. So this is why Zambia has been looked at as a very good model of refugee protection, because it's a one government approach, it's comprehensive, it takes into account the needs of refugees with the voice of refugees themselves informing us on what we need to prioritize.
At the main event of the second Global Refugee Forum, Zambia was accorded an opportunity to give a keynote speech sharing the limelight with esteemed figures of the UN, such as Secretary General Antonio Guterres and UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi. Zambia's pioneering policy initiatives regarding refugee integration programs excited the UN Forum, earning accolades from a diverse assembly of more than 4,000 delegates representing over 130 countries.
I am greatly honored to join you all today at the close of the second Global Refugee Forum, a platform dedicated to addressing the global refugee crisis and exploring avenues for assisting displaced individuals. May I state from the outset that Zambia remains deeply committed to upholding international refugee protection principles and ensuring effective coordination and data-driven approaches in confronting the challenges faced by refugees and their host communities. Excellencies, to enhance the country's generosity in welcoming and supporting refugees over many decades, the government of the Republic of Zambia in November 2022 took a paradigm shift in the management and protection of refugees by ensuring that the protection of refugees contributed to the economic development of the country. This is being done through a model known as Modernization of Refuge and Host Community Settlements approach for effective and efficient management of refugees and host communities' welfare. The approach demands the employment of a methodology that is holistic in nature through a one-government approach.
During the 3 days during which we have been here, tragically, scores of civilians in Gaza have been killed. Many more have been displaced into an already impoverished corner of an already tiny sliver of land. That violence must stop. That violence must stop. There must be a humanitarian ceasefire now. And like the Secretary General just said, aid must be allowed into Gaza to reach civilians with the speed and quantity that they need and they deserve.
Beyond the conferences, the Vice President engaged in discussions with key international figures, including the United Nations Disaster Risk Reduction, UNDRR, and the Japanese International Cooperation Agency, JICA. These engagements fostered partnerships and laid the groundwork for future collaborations, reflecting Zambia's dedication to global initiatives.
You have to continuously remind the world that you are also existing. I think this is what we are doing. By meeting them is to remind them, and that's what we are doing, that we are there. We do realize that the needs are huge worldwide, but we are also there. That is the important part. Whether we meet the High Commissioner for Refugees, or we meet the High Commissioner for Human Rights. That's what we say. Whether we are meeting the UN Under Secretary for Disaster Risk Reduction, that's what we say. Basically, our meeting with all these, different people, including JICA, is to say, we are there. We still need the support of the world.
In other engagements in Geneva, Mrs. Nalumango, with her delegation, took time to connect with the Zambian diaspora in Switzerland. This interaction served as a reminder of the strong bond between Zambia and its citizens abroad.
In saying we will no longer have so much of political diplomacy. Ours is economic diplomacy. That is who we are, because we are in a hurry to see economic development. So if you don't read, you will be lost. You will still remain in the old. You should still have interest at home. That's why you are here. Home is home. You may have dual citizenship, but home is home. It is that blood that makes you come to sit together with the rest of Zambians. It's very important.
Vice President Mutale Nalumango's visit to Geneva demonstrated Zambia's dedication to global cooperation and humanitarian efforts. Zambia's presence and engagements at the Global Hub for Diplomacy reaffirmed the country's commitment to addressing pressing global challenges, leaving a lasting impression on the international stage.
It was important for us as a mission, but also for the Zambians, so that they can see the commitment of this government towards human rights. In relation to the Global Refugee Forum, that too was important for us. Zambia, as you know, hosts many refugees, over 93,000. The program that Zambia has for refugees, I'm sure you've heard of Morasa, where they're trying to ensure that integration of refugees in the communities are not only just integrating with the country, but also with their communities, and ensuring that they have good facilities, including the infrastructure in places like Maheba, where they're looking at ensuring that they have good roads inside there. They have access to the things that Zambian communities also have, like FISIT, for instance, cash transfer, social cash transfer. All those will be things that they are now beginning to enjoy. We've also applied for the IDA 20 grant. This will also help us in this Morasa program, because when we get that, we'll be able to do the things that are planned for the refugee settlements, so that they can be developed like any other area in Zambia. So our participation in that forum was important. And I think that the Vice President did very well. During her visit, you will note that she was able to meet the leaders of these important agencies. She met the UNHCR High Commissioner. She also met the Human Rights High Commissioner. That was important for us, because then it means that they can see and know where we are now. If they didn't hear about us, they've heard about us now. She was able to articulate what Zambia is all about and what Zambia believes in, the pledges that she made at the Human Rights Council. You know that we did some pledges there. And the same with the Refugee Forum, some pledges were made showing commitment to those causes. So I think that in all, her trip was successful. She also met JICA, and with JICA, you know that they've also been helping us with the development of our refugee settlements. So that again was a success, because they were able to go through and see where we are in terms of the assistance that we need to improve our refugee settlements.
In December 2023, Zambia left an indelible mark on the discourse in Geneva aimed at shaping a pathway towards a more inclusive and compassionate world.